With dropping temperatures, now is the time to start thinking about taking your gardening hobby indoors. And we'll say the cutest plant for your kitchen counter is really not a plant at all, it's a small tree. A dwarf citrus is a terrific way to brighten up your winter kitchen, and it can be a rewarding plant to grow. Horticulturist Sheriden Hansen is here to get us started growing citrus indoors. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Can we really do this, like, realistically?
Yes, you absolutely can. I've had one at my house for the last 2 years.
Really?
And you can be successful, I promise.
I've heard they're fussy.
They can be a little bit, but once you kind of get a few, tips under your belt and you kind of get a feel for it, it's not so bad.
So what can we grow realistically in the citrus family?
So oranges, lemons, grapefruit, kumquats, all kinds of things.
Really?
So many things. You could do blood oranges. I have a Meyer lemon tree today, which is kind of a gourmet lemon. It's a little bit sweeter, so really good. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Benefits, what would you list as the benefits of this?
Oh my gosh, so many. So if you're like me and you miss the garden in the winter, this is a way to bring it inside. So this can kind of boost your mood. They smell amazing when they bloom. Plus you have that added benefit. You're growing citrus, you're bringing something in, you're supplying something. I mean, probably not a ton, but it's something to think about. And it can definitely brighten your room and your home.
There's an aroma when they bloom?
Oh, they smell so
good.
They smell amazing.
And when do they bloom?
They typically bloom kind of into the late summer, and then they'll start to put on fruit at that point. So you may have it outside when it starts to bloom. You may be bringing it inside, depending on where you're at for temperature, but yes.
So we'll be working at this all winter for later benefit. My favorite ride at Disneyland is that soaring over California. My favorite moment is the orange trees where they blast the little orange scent through the vents.
See?
I might need
Smells
this.
So good.
What conditions do these plants need to thrive?
Okay, so number one, if you're bringing it inside for the winter, it's got to have sunlight. So we're looking at least 6 hours of sun, 6 to 8. So we want to be on a south or a west facing window, kind of close to it, but not right up against the window because we don't want that cold and some of that, sun to burn the leaves. So we want to be about a foot away from the window. But we need to have that bright light. If you don't have a window like that, you can add a grow light. So they make cute grow lights now that are not super ugly, like you're growing in a greenhouse in your living room. Yeah, so you can add a light.
It looks like a decorative lamp.
Yeah, so you can just add a full spectrum bulb on a lamp.
I didn't want to mention it, but I'm thinking of our sometimes inversion-stricken winters, and that we don't get 6 hours of sunlight sometimes, so you might need that lamp.
Yeah, so you might have to supplement with a little bit of light, and it's not so hard to do. You also need some decent soil. So when we pot these up, so you can see it comes in a container like this. Yeah. I want to select a container, that's tall.
Huge terracotta pot.
It feels big, but it's the right size. So when I look at the of this going into that, it's going to fill about the right size. So I'm going to select a container that has a really good drainage hole. So you can see that hole down there on the bottom. And then I'm going to take some soil, some specially selected soil. So you can pick up cactus and citrus mix. So it likes a really loose, well-draining soil that doesn't hold water. And then our water and our soil here is naturally alkaline. So we might want to add a little bit of soil acidifier just to make sure that our pH is just right. That way we give it the best opportunity to produce
So add a little
fruit.
bit of this to this.
Yes, or you can do peat moss. It does the same thing. And then we're going to look at fertilizer. We're going to need some fertilizer. So you can do an all-purpose fertilizer like this. This is just like a 16-16-16, so nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So we want it to be balanced. And you'll want to add that occasionally, or you can do a water-soluble fertilizer about once a week.
Okay, and I'm doing that once a week, you just said. Okay.
Yes.
All right, and then when we plant, any other tips to consider?
Just make sure that you get the plant in the correct spot. And if we have a minute, I can kind of show you how to do this. So we'll add a little bit of soil. I'm going to try not to make a huge mess. You never know. I don't want a dust cloud though. So we'd add a little bit of soil down here. Oh, I'm going to get a dust cloud anyway.
That's okay.
Sorry,
we'll just hold our breath. That's all right.
So I'm going to add a little bit of soil and bump the level up on this container. And then I'm going to take my tree out. Now, sometimes you'll see some leaves that have dropped. That is a sign of either overwatering or it is a sign of being too cold. So I'm gonna add my tree into here. I'm gonna need a little more soil. I'm gonna bump this up. I wanna have a lip on the top of my container so that when I water it, I can put a good 2 inches of water in and then it will soak down. It's not gonna overflow in my house. And then another great tip, when these are in your house, you need a catch tray underneath. We don't wanna be ruining our wood floors.
So you say leaves can fall when it's too cold. What's the ideal temperature?
So too cold, below 50 degrees is kind of our hard and fast rule. and that's nighttime temperature. So when our nighttime temperatures drop below 50, this plant needs to be in the house. So this week is the week. If you are growing citrus,
pull in your Meyer lemon tree.
They need to come in. So, you know, make sure you plant it, take good care of it, watch that water. You can check the water with your finger, about 2 inches down into the top of the soil, feel with your finger. And if it's dry 2 inches down, you can water. If not, you're gonna hold off. They don't like to be overwatered. So when I have mine in my house at home over the winter, it's about every 10 to 14 days is when I water.
So not too needy.
Not too much.
You say we can assist with pollination too. I don't even know what that means, but I sounded really smart asking the question, so thanks for the prompt.
We have a paintbrush. This is just a kid's paintbrush that I picked up when these start to bloom. Late summer, early fall, you're gonna go in with your paintbrush, and when those blooms are there, you're gonna roll around inside that flower and then go to the next one, roll around, and then go back and make sure that we're transferring pollen. They're self-pollinating, so they don't need another tree to pollinate, but we need to help them just a little bit.
It's the art of gardening.
It is absolutely,
what that is.
100%.
We're gonna fertilize in the growing stages. We're gonna assist with pollination once they start to bloom, keeping those temperatures from about 50 to 80 degrees, and spot and treat those pests early when you see them. Sheriden, really cool option for people to think about. Like you said, I think bringing, you know, the joy of citrus in your home is one thing, but also allowing that green thumb to extend through the winter season gives us a project to think about. What's happening for fall at the Botanical Center?
We have some great classes coming up. We have a girls' night coming up in November that's a charcuterie class, and we would love to have you come. You can find more information on that course at usubotanicalcenter.org.
All right, we'll link you there for our website. Thank you so much. You're so good at what you do, and we're better because of it.